Here today, we're with Daniel Georgievski of Stellar Football Academy.
Lovely first touch there from Georgievski, who's going to try and place it. Oh, what a goal from Daniel Georgievski, and it's one to savour.
But it just clicked to me then that that was my dream. Ronaldo, Messi make mistakes. What makes you any different? They just brought me in. The next day, they're figuring out how to get rid of me. I got booed off the field, and we're playing at home. I cried in the bus after, and it was more because I thought I was good enough. You have to just work hard, that's it. Don't do it because you're forced to. Later on down the track, you won't want to do it. Those little teachings, what I experienced is what we teach in the academies.
Welcome back to the Premier Academy League podcast, where we're diving deeper into all things academy football in Australia and just getting to know the guys in charge just a little bit more. So here today, we're with Daniel Georgievski of Stellar Football Academy. So pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me, sir.
I mean, as an Italian, it pains me to say that as well, considering the recent results we've dropped against you guys.
Well, I think you chose the wrong day to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, would have been nice to do this even 2021, but 2006, great year as well. Why couldn't you do it then? But and then even the jersey you've mentioned before, Real Madrid, it's just hard to get past these differences.
Yeah, you really haven't chosen the best day.
I started off strong, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
I'll make it 3 from 3, but just with this incredibly bad interview. So
3 from 3 can be this one here.
Yep.
Let's figure it out.
But it's great to have you on, and it's just wanted to start on your footballing career because obviously born in Australia, but represented Macedonia, had a great career internationally as well. What have you learnt from your playing days? And I guess very loaded question, but what was some of your things that you've highlighted that you've stuck with you from your playing career?
To be honest, I was never one of those players. So AIS was still around back when I was playing. I was never one of those players that got selected. I was never part of Football New South Wales. I was never in the top tier of players that were noted that will potentially make it. But I never let that pull me down. And not being selected, always played every week. It didn't make sense to me, but I said, you know what? I can't control that. I can only control what I can. So I ended up moving overseas when I was 18 in Croatia. I was playing for Macedonia at the time, so I was flying back and forth and just thought, you know what? Let's give it a punt. And the fact that I didn't know too much helped me. If I knew way too much, like what the kids know now, it'll be a bit of it's a bit different.
Too much about what?
Just about everything. Just an expectation. Something as small as that, having an expectation of I will be somewhere. I never had that growing up, and I just love playing the game. And that's the only thing that stuck with me until I retired at 33, which was I just enjoyed playing the game and it was fun. So having fun in front of just your family and friends in the backyard to having fun in front of 60,000, it was still the same to me personally. So that's what I try to distill into my academy.
Yeah, and so obviously your time in you're primarily a defender, right?
In my youth, I was an attacking midfielder, but then I was just kept running. So they put me as a
fullback,
a stopper back in the day, the back three, and then they throw me at fullback because everyone started growing and I didn't. So I just started playing fullback for the national team, and then when I moved over to Croatia, and I just started loving Dani Alves and try to copy his style.
I mean, it's maybe not the haircuts that he's had though.
Oh, don't mind the haircuts, honestly.
2015 one? I remember it was that.
I didn't
resembled something on top of there.
Man, he can have whatever he wants. He's got the most titles in the world. So for me, it was just his style of play just resonated with the way I like to play. And I didn't care how he looked. And I loved Brazil. Growing up, I always followed Brazil.
Yeah, hard not to, I guess.
Yeah.
Glory Hunter, Real Madrid, Brazil. I don't know what else to say.
Look, there's a combination behind everything, isn't it?
And so with the you've played both in Australia and in Europe as well. What are some of the differences that you've noticed? Not just in mentality wise, but like the actual football itself, different styles of play and how they might have translated into success in a career in terms of being able to adapt, I guess.
Yeah, look, when I moved over, I was 18, so I was still a junior. You would say I was still young, and the A-League had just started, so there wasn't that professionalism yet in Australia. But again, like I said, I was never selected in one of those top tier players. So when I went over there, I was literally a whole year from when I was 18, twice a day training, game on the weekend, figuring out Europe and being taught the right way, which was football's religion. Football's number one. I was in Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia at the time. So learning the language, living by myself. iPhones weren't out yet, so there wasn't any of that. Everything that the kids know now, hence why I say they know too much. Just training every day, twice a day, your technique, your physical attributes. But the thing that always stuck with me was the Australian mentality of never give up. And that's what they loved over there. And that's where I got most of my deals, because they knew I was born and raised in Australia, and that never give up attitude was still around from the golden, the Viduka and that whole era. Yeah. So that kept me there, and then learning their style of football and just their mentality that nothing else matters other than football. And that's why I think I learned that, and that took literally a whole year, 10 sessions a week, 12. I didn't even count. It was just, that was life. Breakfast, training, lunch, sleep, training, dinner, bed.
So was it Danny Rojas, football is life?
Yeah, pretty much. But that was what I was taught. But like I said, I was never technically gifted as a lot of the kids nowadays actually know. I started when I was 9, so I had no idea what to do. So learning that at a later career, but the mentality that I had, that was the one thing that stood out that I could compare to over there, where it was, if you're there for a reason, do it. If not, don't do it at all. And that's what it was.
Yeah, and I've just got to ask quickly, Eastern Europe gets the fans over there are just absolutely crazy. How was it playing for a club like Dinamo Zagreb?
Well, I was in the youth, so I was watching the first team. I would train with them a few times because the head coach is the one that brought me into the club. So I was in the youth, but even when we played Hajduk in the youth, you can just see that was just, they're ready to chew each other's head off. Yeah. It was different. And then when there were the derby games, you couldn't leave your apartment. It was just mayhem. So it was great to see that, because Australia really didn't have that. I think the NSL had it a little bit, but they kind of stopped it because of the ethnicity and all that stuff. But over there, it was just religion, and being just there was an eye opener for me. And I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind being able to play for a club that does have a massive derby behind them.
No, and I've touched on this before, but just one thing I noticed, because I had a couple trials over in England, like just 3rd and 4th tier teams, and one of the things I noticed myself difference wise was at trainings, it was almost this switch in mindset of it was a bit of banter beforehand, but then training was that's it, we're focused on one thing only, playing football. And over in Australia, some of my experiences, not just at grassroots, even representative football, has been there's been a laid back approach to football, I guess, in maybe not in an academy style, but definitely in representative football. I've noticed that sometimes it's taken a back foot in the sense of it's got that semi-professional rap. Is that something that you've noticed different wise, or especially in youth as well?
Look, in youth it's different, but like you said there, once you're going up a tier, once you're getting older and turning into more, let's say, professional or semi-professional, whatever it is, it just gets stronger. It's I always say this to the kids. I go, everyone wants to go and play in Europe, right? I was fortunate enough to be there. Over there, they don't have time to tell you to be quiet. They don't have time to tell you to behave. They just point their finger, you're off the field, and they get somebody else in there. And that's it. There's no time wasted on that, because you're there to train. So the mentality over there is, I get 1 minute of an opportunity, I go and take it. Here, we kind of are fortunate. We are kind of fortunate that we don't have that culture where it's very old school, very cutthroat, as it is in Europe, because over there it's it's not as a developed countries. A lot of them are, but football is, if you make it, you have to make it. Yeah. And that's it. There's no other alternative. You have to take care of your family. You have to do everything. So that extra pressure in Australia, we don't really have. So hence why that mentality is very different to Europe. And a lot do try overseas to go, and then probably stay a season or a couple or two, but to stay for a bit longer, the mentality is just very, very different.
Yeah, I mean, I would have made it if my knee hadn't blown out. The typical. Oh, yeah, of course, would have been.
I was fortunate; I didn't have those issues. Knock on wood.
And so I guess just touching on that, into now your academy. So what made you? Was that something you've always maybe planned on, or getting into coaching after a career, or was the academy itself just kind of a thing that fell into your lap and you've rolled with it?
So while I was playing, I went and did my coaching C license. I went and did my coaching B. I didn't know what was going to come from it, but the PFA said you're able to do it if you want to do it, and I said, you know what, why not? I had nothing else to do. I was training, and I said, I'll do it for some just to give it a go. And I enjoyed it because you see it at a different aspect while I was playing and being a coach, or just doing the coaching courses. You see football in a different way, and it kind of taught me other things while I was playing. So when I had that, and obviously when I was professional, we did a lot of promos with young kids, and like have those little school holiday clinics that the clubs will do, especially Victory. They did a lot of them, and I just enjoyed it. And I was always like, kids, just their happiness. And I've always loved playing with kids younger and just enjoying that whole style thing, because kids are innocent. They don't know any better. They just want to have fun. So if you can teach them while they're having fun, you've kind of helped them out in some little way.
Yeah.
And because of that, even through those promos while I was still playing, and it was always in the back of my mind. And while I was pretty much deciding that I'm going to retire, I didn't want to play anymore. It was during COVID. And then my business partner, Pep Fideli, he had an academy, and he goes, look, you want to come on board? Let's do a whole thing together. And he's been developing kids for over 20 years. So I said, you know what? It is a passion. It is something that I do love. And, I don't want to play football anymore. It was just pretty much a decision like that. I got offered to play again, and I just didn't want it.
Go out on a high.
Well, yeah, kind of. I just, at the end of the day, my son and my wife just gave birth to our first child. So I was like, you know what? Oh, thank you. I've got 2 now. So now they're coming out. So at the time, my mind was different. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about football. It wasn't about the fans. It was more, okay, I want to sort my personal life out. Married, kids. So that's where my mind took me. And again, sticking with children, academy just kind of just fell in my lap. And I always had a passion for it. But when you can make a passion into your life and your bread and butter, it's the best feeling in the world.
I guess you got a bit of training from the kids at home into dealing with them in the academy.
Yeah, you learn a lot of things from your home life to your academy life to back at home. So it's good. It's all learning in my end. But
maybe you have to word a few things a bit differently to these ones.
I'm being very G-rated tonight.
No, of course we keep it PG here. We keep it PG.
PG, no G.
So. Now with the academy, it's quite new, isn't it? Like, this is something that's, you're still kickstarting to an extent. What's that been like setting up? How's it been, especially getting into the PAL?
I find it interesting because I get a lot of people telling me about football.
Which seems a bit ironic, but
well, yeah, but it's like, you know what, you listen. I'm not the type to say, look what I did, look who I am, or anything like that. I learn. Everything's about a learning curve. Even when I played to even now you're dealing with kids' development. And when you know what they actually do need, putting that into action and understanding, look, they will eventually get there. And I do have a lot of patience. That kind of works hand in hand. And the style that we create, our environment, is very fun related because, like I said, it was something that I did as a football player. So that I will only teach what made me get there. My business partner, he also played up until 14s, 15s, but he gave it up because he was doing 6-7 days a week and he was finished.
It's hard on the body.
Well, yeah, and he's a bit older, but he goes, even back then, nothing has changed. So even today, you're trying to educate the parents and the kids that, football is great, but a lot of the stuff that I learned was in the backyard. Was my competitive edge was from playing with my cousins, my brother, all that stuff. So that's what I try to give back to the kids and educate them, but also give them the right style of football and or the right technique to just continue on at it. Something as basic as kicking a ball against a brick wall, aiming for that same brick. Little details like that you just teach them. That's what I did. And I was fortunate enough to have a 14-year career out of it. You can do the same thing. It is possible, regardless of where you are or where you play, it's doable. So that's where we educate them in that department, and that's what I love and enjoy the most. And it is quite new, our academy, but no, we've been doing pretty well.
And you're liking it, obviously? Or?
Oh, I love it. I get to play with my kids all day, and then I go and play with other people's kids and train in football and all that. My son doesn't mind a soccer ball, but my daughter's still young, so it's good.
Matilda's could be calling, one day. So
if she wants to, if they don't want to play soccer, that's not a problem. Whatever they want to do, I'm happy.
Surely you're getting them like Project Mbappe, getting them.
See, this is the thing. My dad never pressured me to play football.
Really?
No. He just pretty much said, okay, we had a concreting business. He goes, if you don't want to do it, the shovel's waiting for you. And I definitely didn't want to be on the shovel. So I looked at it like that as, okay, no worries. There was no pressure for me to play. I did it because I loved it. I did it because I wanted to do it. And that's the same thing I distill in my kids or even the academy kids that are with us. don't do it because you're forced to, because later on down the track you won't want to do it.
Yeah.
So those little teachings, what I experience is what we teach in the academy.
So like, I mean, something that I guess, any kid who wants to make it could take, but like, how did you find the motivation? Obviously you say you loved the game, but like, there must have been times where you found it, tough. And, as you mentioned before, like, football's more lows than highs. And
Yeah, it is.
so like, how do you push through stuff? Like,
You're always having to prove yourself. And if you can push and motivate yourself, that's the biggest winner, because it is a team sport. But at the end of the day, you're your own. If you don't have a good game, the team does well, you'll be out.
Yeah.
And that's how it was in Europe. It was like I said earlier on, find someone else, they'll come and take your position. And when I signed, there was a few clubs. I put into perspective like this. I go, it is so cutthroat overseas. They just brought me in. The next day, they're figuring out how to get rid of me. If you can understand that concept, it's because there's always somebody else that's willing to take that opportunity. So you're there. It's twice as hard to stay and maintain that. So keep at it, work twice as hard. And that's how it was, that self-motivation was, I want to give this a go. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't that I wanted to be professional. I didn't have that dream. It was just more, I'm pretty good at this. I can go at a high level and let's go figure it out. That was it. There was no, I have to make it type of feel. It was more, I just felt like doing it, and might as well while you're young.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Just wing it, mate. Just wing it. That was it. Literally just wing it.
Just wing it.
Yeah.
That's so succinct, to be honest. I don't
Yeah,
think.
look, you tell people that and they don't want to hear it because it's actually true, because, you put so much time and effort in. Yeah, but soccer's just a sport. It's a game. It's enjoyable. If you don't enjoy it, what's the point of doing it? You do it because you're enjoying the game. I don't know how else to put it.
No, I get that.
There's pressure. Yes, there's all this stuff. But if you're inflicting it yourself, or your dad or your mum's doing it, hold on a second. Just you go and enjoy the game. You go and do what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, stories like, I'm not sure if you remember is it Carlos Vela? He was the old, it was a Mexican winger, played for Real Sociedad, but he was like one of the best wingers in La Liga at the time, so it would have been about 2012, 13. But he was probably in his peak, 25, 26, just didn't like playing football. Moves over to MLS and he had fun, He's playing ending at LAFC or LA Galaxy, but he's loving it. And it's like he found a way to enjoy it even when he didn't. But it didn't have to be making it to the top. His was just, playing in America, sunny beaches, having fun.
Yeah, well, look at Real Sociedad, that's still a big club.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Andre Schürrle won the World Cup, retired at 28.
Yeah.
Now he's what is he doing?
He's
climbing
Mount
mountains.
Everest, yeah.
Exactly. So
Shows.
he loved it, but then, like I said, I still got an offer till 33, but I stopped loving the game as much as I did. I had nothing to prove to anybody anymore. And these players, yes, they played at a much higher level, but they had the same style. They thought, you know what, I've got something else I want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can't teach the brain what to think. You can teach the body, but not the brain.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of training, I guess, but on your one of your philosophies is practice your strengths and work hard on your weaknesses. And I personally love that philosophy because, as a footballer, trying to get better, obviously, my best coaches were the ones that, didn't blow smoke up, and were the ones that sat me.
Where are they blowing smoke? Yeah.
Yeah.
G-rated.
Stopped it. And they were the ones that sat me down, told me where my deficiencies were, and then, gave me tips and, things to work on and helped me become a more complete player. And how do you go about giving constructive criticism to kids? Because it's generally quite a tough thing to do to say what they're not good at, but it's something that's necessary for, to build up a...
Well, it's easy to say they're not good at it, but it's harder for you to tell them how to fix it.
Yeah.
And now when you teach a lot of football, when you look at overseas, and I think one of your questions before was how was the difference? Over there, they learn 2, 3, 4 passes ahead at a young age, which is body positioning, opening up your back foot. Basic skills, your first touch, absolute basic. I think I even watched something about Berbatov recently, and he goes, I just still train my first touch and I'm retired. He goes, that's all I had. That's all I needed. And he probably had the best touch in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what people veer away from. I get kids doing rainbow flicks and God knows what. And I'm like, what on earth are you doing? And juggling and all that. I go, okay, if you want to learn to juggle, you can do it at home in the backyard. I won't waste your time here. With us here, the ball's on the ground. Yeah, you have to get as many touches on the ball. And we stopped the session. What did you think you should do? Because we're not the type to make them robotic at a young age. We want them to think. Because if you get told what to do all the time, when are you thinking? And that's where in football you have no time for the coach to tell you what to do. We train him a different way, where, you know, this is your position, fair enough, but what do you think you can go? So that's where we stop and start. We do let our sessions flow, but it's fixing their weakness. A lot of them are one-footed, right foot or left foot. Okay, what about your other foot? Hence the weakness. Oh, I'm not the best at it. Well, that's fine. That's why we train it here. You're allowed to make mistakes in football. Ronaldo, Messi make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
What makes you any different? So we allow them to make mistakes, but fix it. And we just persistence. And eventually they do get it. It might not happen a week, might not happen in a month, might happen in 3 terms. Whatever it is, if you're persistent at what you know, you will get there. And that's it. But at a way that we don't scream, yell, shout, swear, none of those things. It's just a way that I was taught. I had coaches probably 1 or 2 coaches that were nutters, and I didn't learn much from them. The ones that were very calm, I did learn something from them, but what I gathered more in my youth career and my professional career was more the coaches that were calm, relaxed, have a relationship with, and I learned the most out of them. So hence why I am the way that I am.
And so I guess how has it been coaching in like a PAL system? Because it's very different to what the traditional football structure has been like in Australia. You know, trying to focus on, you know, the small-sided games and you know, on the same day, same location, same grounds. Like how has that experience been for you? And like, you know, just the like from a coach's and former player perspective.
Well, it's easier because you're in one location.
Yeah, true.
To be fair, especially when you have a few teams, like the other academies have quite a few teams as well. So it makes it easy. You're not driving up and down. But it's the game time. What I don't agree with the clubs now is the fact that it's not competitive. That I only recently found that before the power, and that doesn't make sense to me why they've implemented that philosophy. I don't agree with it. With power, there is a competitiveness, which is what you need in football, but winning isn't all. It's the fact that you have that because you're taking away something that kids need. Because when they get to a competitive level, when they hit 13, if they've not experienced that before in their life, it's going to be a shock to them.
It's hard to
Where
learn.
for us was you have to have it. I remember growing overseas when I was a kid, just as a kid, and I told them there were 6 place ribbons. Overseas, they laughed the hell out of me. Yeah, you laugh. I will never forget it. My uncle slapped the crap out of me and goes, what do you mean 6 place ribbons? Like, it doesn't exist. I go, in Australia, we do that. And now there's not even that. It's just everyone, as long as you compete. And for me, fair enough, but not when you're trying to hit a certain level.
Yeah.
When you want to push yourself more. It's like you still need to have that competitiveness because if someone scored 20 goals, you've only scored 18. You want to have that competitive edge to score 2 more. But if no one's keeping count, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that philosophy. That's why I love power system and that for me it's normal.
No, it's great.
That's what it should have always been. So that change I definitely disagree with because actually taking away something that the kids need.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed when I was a kid, like, you know, checking the tables, see how we're going.
I've
You
got
know,
a few
like the
6th place ribbons, don't you? I have a few of those. But again, I wanted to get to 5th. Regardless of what it is, it's that competitiveness. And then they ask, how do you make a competitive edge? Well, you just took it away from them. This keeps it with them, and it's great. I love it in that sense because that was normal. Now it's not normal.
No, I completely agree. Like, I mean, I was going to say like the old saying, you know, like, you know, diamonds form under pressure. You know, like if you don't have that pressure there, it's hard to produce like, you know, not just quality, but like that resilience, that mentality.
But you have to experience that pressure.
Yeah.
If you're taking it away and be like, okay, you can do whatever, but what are you actually learning? What is it? It's a main fundamental point for development. How are you going to develop if you have nothing to go for? Yes, but it's just football. Yeah, no, it goes into life. It goes into everything, and that's what frustrates me. But again, it doesn't frustrate me here, obviously, because there is that competitiveness. There is something. I don't care if we win, lose, or draw. I don't care for results. I don't care for ladders. My thing's about development. For them, they can figure that one out. There's a competitive, I want to beat the other team. That's what you have to strive to do. You don't need me to motivate you for that. Me, I need to make you play football better. Me, I've got to learn. I have to learn how to make you better because every player is different. The formation, the structure, your back foot, all those little details. If you ask any of my kids, oh, who are we playing today? Coach Daniel has no idea because I don't care. It's not about that. It's for them to know. It's for them to beat someone. Oh, they're better. Why aren't you better? Do this, right? Do that. And all those things. And that's how I approach it because for them, that's for them to learn. For me, it's getting them better. And it's all about development and their safety.
I mean, sort of started to touch on it, but like, you outside of a football perspective, when it comes to just general, like maybe like not just personal lives, but these kids like development outside of the football pitch. How do you think Stella and then in general that the PAL system goes about doing that?
Well, everyone can. I don't really know how to answer that question.
I guess maybe focus on like just Stella football. What they're doing, like just for like the culture developing around it per se.
With us, like I said to you, environment is one of our biggest mantra. For me, it is our mantra, to be honest. It's environment. And Power has that similar system where, yes, there's competitiveness, but you have directors, you have people that run academies that are all friendly. They're all there to help each other. They're all here to help pull someone else up if something's not happening right. One of your coaches, one of your parents are doing something. And for me, I respect that because you know what? They're all here for the same environment to continue on what Power's all about. And that's what we do with Stella. And I just say, if you want something else, you can go find somebody else. It's totally fine. No one's got a gun to your head to make you stay here, but this is what we do. This is all about environment. And again, I relate it back to my career where the most success I had when I won titles overseas, our environment was second to none. We were in hotel rooms 4 nights a week. We had team buildings. We had all these things. We won it 2 years in a row. Came to Melbourne Victory. We had the same style of environment and we won it. So it worked. If it worked and I saw it, why would I veer away from it? And it was all about environment, all about, you don't have to love the person next year. I kid you not, when we were in Victory, not everyone loved Barisha. But you know what? They all wanted him on your team. Carl Fuller, you want him on your team. Del Pierre, he's the most loving person anyway. But there were players that you didn't have to be best mates with. But on the field, you had an aura that it didn't matter what you do off the field. It was on the field because we were there for football. So that environment, I'm just talking about Australia, overseas or other names as well, but everyone had their own style. Everyone had, egos. But on the field, the environment was the main key, and that's where the most success came. So in my academy, that's what we do. A good, calm, relaxing environment for the parents, understand where the coaches, understand we're here for the right reasons for your kid to develop. If you don't like it, leave. Let's find someone else. It's not a problem because you know what? We're going to keep teaching that because that's what the end goal, which was to make it, as they would say it, that's what you're reaching for. And this is how you're going to learn. And if you don't like it, no worries.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking a bit to the future, like how do you see, if you had to put an estimate on like, where do you see Stella football developing into? Like, what do you want to like push maybe for more in the future from your academy?
Football is for everyone. So for us, it's not just elite. It's intermediate. It's beginners. It's first timers. It's kids that can't kick with their right, let alone the left. Football's for everyone, and that's what we aim for. That's what we want because those kids that didn't know how to kick a ball are now, after a couple of months, are in elite or they're in intermediate, and their development we had a hand in. So for us, that's what we aim for. For everybody. You don't have to have an expectation of football. Neither did I. I ended up playing it for a whole long time. Same thing as your kid. If they love the game and enjoy it, we're there to teach them and continue that on. So what the future holds, we're not in a corporate setting where you can say, this is my next pay rise or whatever it is. No, none of that. When we believe our product and we love our product, and if everyone wants to give it a go, they can give it a go. If not a problem. There's always somebody else. But we're there, and whoever wants to, agree with what we do, they can come give us a look. If not a problem. I'll see you on the field and I'll give you a handshake. And if you want to leave and go somewhere else, you still get a handshake and probably a hug from me because I'm a hugger. You'll get one after, don't worry. Even though with that jersey, you'll get a hug from me, don't worry.
I'm not sure I'll be receptive to that one. Might have to go for
I don't know. I'm Real Madrid, so don't bring that.
Old fist bump and then just, no look fist bump as well.
But that's what it's all about for us. Wherever it reaches, it'll reach. Sky's the limit.
I mean, is that also number 10 or 11 for talking about how good your career was today? I can't. I've lost count of how many times you brought up how good your career was.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was all right. It could have been much better, to be honest. But you know what? That was a different world. That was
you're working hard for it. That's absolutely fair. But I'm just
having a smile, mate.
That's what it's all about.
Oh,
you try and aim for it.
Even when you played bad, I still had a smile.
I didn't.
You didn't? No.
It was. Well, I mean, I'm playing as an attacker. I was just always fixated on like that one miss, and it's not good. It was not good, but I fixated on that for ages. I couldn't get it out of my head. I'd be like shouldn't have gone far post, should have gone near post, or like,
Yeah, but you didn't have to worry about for 90 minutes. You just had to go and score a goal or make an assist.
Yeah.
As a defender, you can have a great game for 90 minutes, but that 1 second
Yeah.
defines your whole game. So imagine how much time I was doing my head in.
Yeah.
But again, that's football. Why do we do it? Because we love it. You hate it, but the next day you go and get a ball and fix it.
Mm. And so I guess these blokes might have helped you, not helped you, but Kevin Muscat, Ernie Merrick, some of the bigger names when it comes to managers in Australia. But how were they?
Well, I came from Europe 8 years, so over there was a very different style. So me coming to Melbourne Victory, and it was Muskie's first. It was his first role as head coach. I think Ange was before that or something like that. So it was Muskie's first time. So he was still learning it. He had his own style, but there was about 5-6 of us that came from Europe. You had Carvaleri, you had Del Pierre, Ben Calfala, you had a few others.
Emil Heskey.
Barbarouses. Sorry?
Emil Heskey?
No, he was at Newcastle Jets.
Oh, that's right.
Man, you're way off. No, that was years later. But no, we had about 4. We had Milligan, so we had a very strong team. So we had about 3-4 players that came from Europe, and I was one of them. And for us, Muskie was still learning. He had his own style. We go, no worries. But then when the game kicked on, we were just like, boys, let's go and just smash the other team. And that's how it was. It just turned into that environment where we just knew what we had to do on the field, but we enjoyed life outside the field. So learning from Muscat, everyone knew Muskie's career. He was one of the most hated people. He was the most, aggressive people.
Yeah.
But he did give us some lessons of, I wish someone told me this when I was playing. So I remember I received a red card, 2 yellows in a cup. So no one cared about the cup, to be honest, then. Even though we wanted that next year, but I got a red card. And he goes, and one of the other boys got a red card as well because the ref was annoying us. And he goes, keep a head level. He goes, I know I, of all people, cannot talk because of what I did, but I just wanted to say that at that time, someone's told you what to do. No one told me what to do. So I'm here to tell you I've done it and it didn't work out. Try to keep a level head. So those little teachings made sense, and work hard, work early, not hard, little things like that he would try to teach. The first year definitely worked. The second year tweaked a few things. We went okay. We did pass a group stage in Asian Champions League, and then the third year we got to the final, but we lost. But again, we were all learning in that sense. And then I went to where Emil Heskey was years later to Newcastle Jets, and Ernie Murray got the job, but he was just a whole different kettle of fish. He was the calmest person in the world. He was just the funniest bloke. He's got a dry sense of humor. And literally his only philosophy was get as many bodies into the red zone. That was our whole season. We finished second.
It works.
Well, it worked. I'll tell you that. The club finished last the year before, and they did bring myself and a few other, Bogart was there, Topper Stanley, Petrados, Andrew Naboot was already there, Roy Donovan they brought in.
At that point?
No, this was you. Mate, you're going before I even came to the A-League.
I get my time zones mixed
I
up.
came in 2014. You were talking about earlier on.
It's hard.
But
it's hard.
His style as well was very interesting. But again, it was a great environment. Muskie was different. Still a great environment. And just those two, JP DiMarini, all these guys that, I was fortunate enough to be taught and trained under, they just had the same style, which was, it's all about your environment.
And I guess just to end off, having like a professional career as yours, if there's one moment you had to you would tell the kids to be like, that's something that this is what you'd want to aspire for. Like a moment like this is what you'd work for. What would that moment have been in your career?
Kill me, mate. Just kill me. Champions League, which was, I used to wake up 4 a.m, had the Champions League song on my little phone as an alarm, watch whatever game it was, it didn't really matter. To be able to play in it, it was just, I didn't even realize up until the day we played Chelsea, round 2 in the game. We played Schalke the first game and we played very good, but we ended up losing 3-0. Then the next game, played Chelsea at home and packed stadium. I was, we were playing very well in the league. We were like a bit too confident. Chelsea weren't playing that good in the league, so we go into that game. And the day before a game, I think someone from UEFA came and did an interview. and they asked me, what does it mean for you? And there and then he just realized, oh, mate, I've always wanted this since I was a kid. Waking up, in Australia, in Europe, you guys are awake at 8 p.m. I was up at 4 o'clock, whichever game it was. But it just clicked to me then that was my dream. Because I always was like, if I got to play there, man, that's just that Champions League song still gives me chills. And I go, I wish I can experience that one day. But that was locked away back in my brain up until the day before the game. The next day, I had the worst game of my career. Mate, I scored an own goal. Andre Schuler, we talked about him before, mate. He ripped me one. I just couldn't predict. I knew what he was doing, but I was always that second away, like mini second away. Every 50-50, the ball go behind me. He made 2 assists. Mate, we got pumped 4-0. I got booed off the field, and we were playing at home. So a good 50,000 booed me off. And that's because I put more pressure on myself because I thought I was good enough. Playing against Chelsea, man. We're not, that John Terry and Lampard and Samuel Eto'o came off in the 12th minute and they brought Fernando Torres. So enough said. That was a great experience, but it was the biggest life lesson I'd ever had, which was some years basic was stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Just go and enjoy the game.
No,
and
man.
That's, pretty hard after 50,000 booing you off, but it was a life lesson. And that's where I learned the most, where it was like, just go and enjoy yourself. Everything up until then, I was enjoying myself. That one, I enjoyed it up until the own goal, or I think it was something before that, where an assist.
Came from your side.
Sorry?
Came from your side, you mean?
Yeah, I was marking him. He went around me twice, 2 assists, counter-attack, scored an own goal, get booed off. Bob's your uncle, see you later. I cried in the bus after, and it was more because I thought I was good enough. So that's why I said, you think you're at that level, you're not. You have to work harder to get there, and I did. But then I'd just broken my leg 6 months before, so I was still recovering. But no excuse, it was the biggest life lesson, and that's what I say. You want to get there. It was bloody hard to get there, but couldn't maintain it because I did it to myself. Here's a lesson for you. If you ever do experience that, maybe someone in the back of your head will remember Daniel said this. And that's pretty much when the ones that ask, I don't just say it out loud. You asked, I told you. It's one of those ones. I don't preach too much, but if you ask the question,
I love the honesty.
That was the, it's raw. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say you're going to be a football player. I never wanted to be a football player. I just got there. You have to just work hard. That's it. There's no such thing as making it at a young age. You have to work twice as hard. And if it happens, it happens. I can help you there, definitely. But at the end of the day, if you're not good, you're not going to make it. There's no 2 ways about it.
But no, I absolutely appreciate this chat, man. It's been great having you on, hearing about your career and new academy. And I wish you the best of luck with the academy. Maybe not so much for Macedonia and Real Madrid, but
that's at a different level. But for PAL, it's really cool, man. I'm really enjoying it. We did our first competition now, and it was a good eye opener, but also for the kids to have that experience, and that's what it's giving them more experience. So we can talk football overseas for as long as you want, but for the kids, for PAL, it was actually, really, really enjoying it, and the kids are loving it, and the competitiveness is something that I do love.
Yeah, mate, that's great. That's just really what you can ask for, all you can ask for at the end of the day, especially with the kids. But again, wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you very much.